Good morning, everyone. This meeting is called to order. Ms. Patricia, has anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, sir. We have one person signed up for public comment. They are online right now. It's Ronke Adarami. And Ms. Adarami, if you'd please limit your comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Ms. Adarami, are you there? Ms. Adarami, we can't hear you yet. If you can hit the mute button and then unmute it again, and let's see if that works. It's showing that that your mic is unmuted, so please go ahead. If just get closer to the microphone and speak. Is your volume turned up? Ma'am, we're still not able to hear you. Can you press the mute button and then press unmute again? At this point in time, it seems like we're having some technical difficulties that it appears that she should be able to speak where we would hear, but we're not unable to. Commissioners, if you'd like, we can have her disconnect. And if you'd like to go forward with the docket, and then if she's able to reconnect, we can have her at the end of the docket, if that
All right,
works.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Let's move then to agenda item 3. I think we have 3 cases to reconsider there.
That is correct. Commission Appeals is requesting to resubmit 3 cases that were previously voted on September 11th, 2023. The case numbers are case number 307-8241, which was on docket 36, case number 345-4695, which was on docket 37, and case number 345-7524, which was also on docket 37. Further review has revealed that a majority vote was not achieved for these cases, and clarification of the vote is needed before decisions can be mailed. Therefore, Commission Appeals is requesting to resubmit these cases on a future docket. Commissioner Demerson?
I agree.
Commissioner Trevino?
I agree.
Chairman Daniel?
Agreed.
Thank you.
All right, let's move then to agenda item 4. We'll consider tax liability cases. We have 1 tax case on docket 38.
Good morning. For the record, Hugh Daniel, Special Program Appeals. We have 1 case on docket 38. It is Case number TD 23-012-0523. Commissioner Demerson,
I agree with staff recommendation.
Commissioner Trevino,
I agree with staff recommendation.
and Chairman Daniel.
Disagree with staff recommendation. Grant the motion for rehearing.
So we have two votes, majority votes to agree with staff recommendation. Would you like to dissent?
Long form dissent. No fair housing cases under agenda item 5.
That's correct.
All right. No child labor cases under agenda item 6.
That is correct. There are no child labor cases on docket.
All right. Under agenda item 7, we have one wage claim case on docket 38 pulled for additional discussion.
That is correct. The case is case number 22-059-280-4. Commissioner Demerson?
The AT decision is not supportable. The owner of the business was unable to personally run the company, and so he entrusted the business and all of its dealings to the claimant, who was the general manager. There is ample circumstantial evidence that during the final 2 months or so before the claimant resigned, he diverted at least some of the client projects and payments to his own company, which was a similar firm that was essentially a competitor of the named employer. I believe there's sufficient basis to hold a rehearing to obtain the additional testimony from both parties, as well as documentation regarding client invoices and payments, in order to more clearly establish exactly which days the claimant spent working for the employer's clients and took payments from them to remit to the employer, and which days the claimant spent working for either his own clients or else the employer's clients that may have ended up giving payments to the claimant's company. Once we have that kind of information, we can then order the employer to pay the claimant for the work he did on behalf of the employer and dismiss whatever part of the wage claim that has to do with the work that the claimant may have done on behalf of his own business.
The employer was having financial difficulties and last paid the claimant on June 15th of 2022. The claimant provided ample credible evidence that he continued to work for the employer on a salary basis from June 16th, 2022 through August 9th of 2022, except for the first week of August of 2022 when he was on his honeymoon. While the employer expressed concerns about the quality of his work, there was no written agreement that authorized the employer to deduct wages from his pay due to these concerns. The employer never provided notice to the claimant that they would reduce the claimant's salary. Based on the pay rate that both parties verbally agreed to, the claimant was entitled to $60,000 per year, or $5,000 per month, or $2,500 semi-monthly, or $230.77 per day. The claimant is entitled to $2,500 in wages for the second semi-monthly payment for June of 2022, $5,000 in wages for July of 2022, and $461.45 in wages for August 8th and August 9th of 2022, for a total of $7,961.54 in unpaid wages. Additionally, the appeal tribunal correctly changed the employer's name to match the name under which the business is registered in the state of Texas. Modify the AT, $7,961.54 wages owed. Correct employer name.
Modify the AT, $7,961.54 wages owed. Correct employer name.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Demerson.
Thank you.
This concludes consideration of wage claim cases pulled for additional discussion on docket 38. You should have received the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 38.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining wage claim cases on docket 38.
Second the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I'm dissenting as reflected in the wage claim short form dissent list for docket 38.
I concur with chairman's motion, except for those cases in which I am dissenting, as reflected on wage claim short form dissent list for docket 38.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. Let's move to agenda item 8, in consideration of unemployment insurance cases on docket 38. Please proceed when you're ready.
Case number 3001-806, Commissioner Demerson.
The AT decision is not supportable. Although the employer's testimony did not establish good cause to miss the first hearing, The employer is entitled to a review of the evidence underlying the chargeback decision. TWC charged the employer's account due to a late protest with respect to the notice a notice of maximum potential chargeback mailed during the height of the pandemic. The employer has not been asked to explain whether its late protest was due to misinformation from TWC regarding the need to respond to the NMPC. Accordingly, we should rehear this case to obtain direct testimony from the employer concerning why the company did not respond to the original NMPC mailed during the pandemic period.
The AT decision is correct. Regarding the employer's failure to appear at the AT1 hearing, the employer testified that it received the notice of hearing, but missed the hearing because the representative who was going to participate in the hearing was busy with other work. The employer's arguments regarding the issues with registering for the hearing and phone connection were not persuasive due to their inconsistency with the employer's testimony. Regarding the timeliness and the employer's protest to the notice of maximum potential chargeback, the AT1 decision, which affirmed the determination that the employer's response to the notice of maximum potential chargeback should be dismissed as late, is supportable. The notice of maximum potential chargeback was sent to the employer on May 26th of 2020 with the response deadline of June 25th of 2020, and the employer protest over a year late. Affirmed the AT, employer did not have good cause for AT1, late response to the notice of maximum potential chargeback, employer's account remains charged.
Modify the AT, employer did not establish good cause for AT1, timely response to the NMPC, no chargeback.
I'm going to agree with the chairman.
I have your vote.
Short form dissent, sir.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Trevino.
Case number 3044936, Commissioner
So
Dimerson.
we should modify the appeal tribunal decision. First, to do not contest the good cause issue. Concerning the job separation, the employer required the claimant to make phone calls to meet the customer contact quota. The claimant was terminated when she fraudulently inflated her call volume by placing false calls to her own personal cell phone. Although the claimant alleged that she engaged in the fraudulent activity at the advice of a supervisor, the claimant did not report the issue to HR or talk to higher management about her concerns. Since the claimant knowingly engaged in dishonest behavior by inflating her call volume, the claimant mismanaged her position of employment. As such, we should modify the AT decision. The claimant established good cause for missing the AT1 hearing, misconduct, no chargeback, sever adequate employer response.
The AT decision should be modified. I agree that the claimant had good cause for failing to appear at the AT hearing on 12/23 of 2022 due to the non-receipt of the hearing packet. Regarding the separation, the claimant presented credible firsthand testimony that she was explicitly instructed by her immediate supervisor to call on her own cell phone to meet the employer's customer quota policy of 100 calls per day, or her job would be in jeopardy. The claimant was the only party that presented firsthand testimony on the instructions provided by her regarding the employer's quota policy and the ramifications of failing to satisfy the 100 call per day threshold requirement. The claimant's firsthand testimony carries greater evidentiary weight in this case, and the claimant's action should be considered as should not be considered as misconduct connected with the work. Modify the AT, good cause established by the claimant to reopen hearing. No misconduct, chargeback, void adequacy of response ruling.
Modify the AT, claimant established good cause for AT1, misconduct, no chargeback, sever adequate response rule.
Short form dissent, sir.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Trevino.
Case number 3208499, Commissioner Dimerson.
Now we should modify the appeal tribunal decision. First, I agree that the claimant filed a valid initial claim. Concerning the job separation, the claimant's testimony in conjunction with available record suggests that the claimant's separation resulted from medically verifiable illness, from her medically verifiable illness. As such, we should modify the AT decision, valid initial claim, misconduct, no misconduct, no chargeback, MVI. In the alternative, since the employer in their appeal to the commission stated that they had a firsthand witness who could testify about the final incident which led to the claimant's separation, we should conduct a rehearing to question the witness and admit any additional evidence about the work separation. Rehear.
The AT decision should be modified. I agree that the claimant filed a valid claim and was unemployed prior to the filing of the initial claim. I also agree that the claimant was discharged for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. The claimant's firsthand testimony that she was laid off when she was replaced by the employer during her absence caused by COVID was supported by the employer's response to the notice of initial claim given near the time of the separation. The employer's later testimony was given at the hearing was hearsay and contradicted the employer's own prior response. However, regarding the chargeback issue, as the evidence established that the claimant was discharged due to an absence caused by the COVID disaster, the employer's account should be protected from chargeback. Modify the AT, valid claim, no misconduct, no chargeback disaster. Or in the alternative, we can modify the AT, valid claim, no misconduct, chargeback, MVI.
Affirm the AT, valid claim, no misconduct, chargeback.
Commissioner Dimerson, did you have something you'd like to add?
Yes, so Commissioner Trevino said no misconduct. In his NVI vote, was that chargeback or no chargeback?
He has currently two votes right now. He has a valid claim, no misconduct, no chargeback under disaster, and he's also recommended valid claim, no misconduct, no chargeback under MVI.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Trevino under the MVI analysis.
Under the MVI analysis?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Would you like the short form
Short
dissent?
form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Mr. Chairman.
Case number 3214911, Commissioner Dimerson.
The appeal tribunal decision should be modified. I do not contest the good cause issue. As to the job separation, the employer clearly stated that the claimant was fired for job performance. The claimant was not leasing enough units to meet the employer's expectations. This case can be distinguished from one in which the claimant could never meet the employer's expectations because the employer testified that the claimant had previously been able to lease units above expectations for several years. The employer also testified that when it told the claimant he was not taking an initiative to assist, the claimant responded by just shrugging his shoulders. Since the claimant was previously able to meet the employer's expectations, and since the claimant failed to take an initiative to assist, he was not working to the best of his ability, and his job performance constituted work-connected misconduct. She therefore modified the AT decision. The claimant had good cause for his non-appearance, misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
The AT decision is correct. The claimant established good cause for missing AT2 hearing due to the time zone confusion. There was over 7-month delay in the scheduling of the employer's appeal for the AT1 hearing. The claimant had exhausted his employment benefits, and he was not expecting the hearing notice when it was mailed. As such, the claimant established good cause for missing the AT1 hearing due to a delay in the scheduling of the hearing. Regarding the separation, the claimant provided testimony under oath that he was fired while off work after he presented a doctor's note to the employer covering the 3-day absence after being involved in a car accident. The employer questioned the validity of the doctor's note, but has presented no evidence that the note was falsified. Also, the claimant indicated that his fact-finding statement that he had at least 10 units in his last month, which exceeded the employer's expectation of at least 5 units per month. The employer's secondhand hearsay evidence that he was fired for his performance issues is insufficient to establish misconduct. Affirm the AT, good cause for missing AT1 and AT2 hearings. No misconduct, chargeback.
Affirm the AT. Claimant established good cause for AT1 and AT2. No misconduct, chargeback.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Dimerson.
Thank you.
Case number 3470318, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant was injured while on work assignment. After she was injured, the employer, a temporary help firm, told her that the assignment ended because she was medically unable to perform the work. The claimant requested a different assignment at the time, but was told that the employer did not have any available assignments that the claimant could physically perform. The claimant was separated from the employer after she requested the assignment within the work restrictions on September 29th of 2022. And the employer informed her that there was no work available. The claimant was discharged due to lack of work and not for reasons constituting misconduct connected with the work. Regarding the chargeback issue, the chargeback ruling was appropriately voided. Modify the AT, no misconduct, void chargeback.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. The employer, a temporary help firm, required its employees to report for reassignment at the end of a job assignment. Although the claimant had acknowledged the employer's policy on reassignment, the claimant failed to report to the employer's job site upon being cleared to work to report availability. Since the claimant was aware of the employer's reporting policy, but thereafter failed to follow the employer's rules, the claimant's separation was a voluntary quit without work-connected good cause. As such, we should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving, void the no chargeback ruling. Additionally, a memo should be sent to UIA NOS on whether the claimant had unreported earnings.
Affirm the AT. Voluntary leaving, void chargeback, and a memo to investigate unreported earnings.
Short form dissent, sir.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Trevino.
Case number 3474413, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is correct. While the claimant made a mistake on a call with the client's customer, in which the customer overheard the claimant say one bad word, there's no mistake that did not constitute misconduct. The claimant had no prior warnings. The employer admitted at their testimony that after she was removed from the assignment by the client's request, the employer continuously looked for other assignments for the claimant because she was a good employee. The claimant was laid off due to the lack of work when the employer did not have another assignment for the claimant. Additionally, the employer eventually placed her on an assignment with another client, which is further evidence that the claimant's actions did not rise to the level of misconduct connected with the work. Affirm the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
The appeal tribunal decision should be reversed. A major factor in determining whether a claimant is qualified for benefits is the reason why the claimant stopped working. In the case before us, the claimant stopped working because she was removed from an account by the employer for saying a curse word that was heard by a customer. The employer stated that had the incident with the client not occurred, the claimant would have continued working on the account in question. Additionally, and perhaps more importantly, the employer also stated that the claimant's actions did violate policy, and she could have been terminated for it depending on the severity of the incident. Since the client customer escalated the incident all the way to the client's CEO, it is not unreasonable to conclude the claimant's actions were severe. Accordingly, the claimant's actions constituted work-connected misconduct. We should therefore reverse the AT decision. Misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Reverse the AT. Misconduct, no chargeback, adequate employer response.
Short form dissent, sir.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Trevino.
Case number 3481507, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not supportable. The employer discharged the claimant for allegedly violating a policy by sharing a warning that she had been issued with the coworker for making verbal threats directed towards her supervisor. However, the employer failed to establish that there is any actual policy prohibiting employees from sharing warnings with coworkers. Additionally, the claimant denied under oath that she made any threatening remarks about her supervisor, and the employer only offered secondhand evidence to support this allegation. Therefore, the employer did not meet its burden of showing that the claimant violated any known policy or made any threatening remarks towards her supervisor. Accordingly, we should reverse the AT, no misconduct, bill reimbursing employer, void adequate response.
The appeal tribunal decision should be modified. The claimant had been warned about maintaining the professionalism and attitude at the workplace. Nonetheless, the final incident consisted in part of the claimant making a verbal threat regarding her supervisor. Accordingly, the claimant's actions in light of prior warnings constituted work-connected misconduct. We should therefore modify the AT decision, misconduct, reimbursing employer not billed, sever adequate employer response.
Modify the AT misconduct, reimbursing employer not billed, sever adequate response.
Short form dissent, sir.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Trevino.
Case number 3488797, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant did not initiate the separation. She was sent home when she was asked to perform a job task that she was unable to perform due to her medical condition. The claimant was told that she could not return to work until she provided the employer with the doctor's note listing her restrictions. The claimant made an appointment with her doctor to obtain the required document, but could not get an appointment prior to the employer's deadline, due in part to the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday. The claimant did not choose to be off work, and she was prevented from returning to work by her employer. Therefore, the employer discharged the claimant due to her medically verifiable illness. Reverse the AT, no misconduct.
We should affirm the appeal tribunal decision. The claimant stopped reporting to work due to a medical reason, but failed to provide the employer the requested medical documentation. Thus, the claimant is deemed to have quit without good cause connected with the work. We should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving.
Modify the AT misconduct.
I'm going to agree with the chairman.
Okay,
Short form dissent, sir.
I have your short form dissent, Commissioner Trevino. This concludes consideration of UI cases pulled for additional discussion on docket 38. You should have received the UI short form dissent list for docket 38.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 38.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, before we proceed forward, before I second the motion, I want to go back to the tax case that was mentioned at the beginning. And give me like clarification on the chairman's vote on that one.
On the tax
The
case.
tax case, I think it's TD 23-012-0523.
Go ahead, Commissioner Demerson. Would you like to clarify your vote?
I want to know the chairman's vote.
Okay, Chairman Daniel?
I disagree with the staff recommendation. I would want to grant the motion for rehearing.
For rehearing. All right, so I do want to change my vote and agree with the chairman's vote to rehear.
All right, we can do another rehearing and resubmit it.
Say that again. I can't hear you.
We can do the rehearing and resubmit.
All right.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Chairman, you had a motion on the floor, and so I want to second.
Thank you.
Okay.
Would Commissioner Trevino be afforded a dissent at this point since we've changed the vote?
I apologize. Since we're going to rehear the case, we'll resubmit it for another docket.
Excuse me. Yeah, there's no decision at this point on which to dissent because the case will be resubmitted.
Got it. Thank you.
I'll stand up here until I'm dismissed this time.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I think there was a motion on the floor now. All right, now I'm going to second that motion.
All right.
Second the chairman's motion, except for the cases in which I'm dissenting is reflected in the UI short form dissent list for docket 38.
I concur with Chairman's motion, except for those cases on which I am dissenting, as reflected on UI short form dissent list for docket 38.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. This brings us to the end of agenda items 1 through 8. We'll take a short recess. It was purely a failure on Mr. Townsend's part. I mean, that's what we have to face.
Oh.
Ma'am, can you
Mhm.
please test and see if we can hear your voice? Could you say something, please?
Yes, hello, hello.
Okay, we
Can
can
you
hear you
hear
now.
me?
Just, we can hear you now. We have the
Okay.
requester online.
Thank you.
Okay, so do you want me to start talking now?
Yes, please go
Hello?
ahead. Yes,
Okay.
please go ahead.
All right. Greetings to everyone. My name is Ronke Ade, and I would like to read some scriptures before I really go into what I want to talk about. Heaven and earth will pass away, but the word of the Lord will never pass away. I do not fight against flesh and blood, but I fight against principalities, against rulers of darkness of this world. And I'm commanding every injustice and every bribery and every evil in my case to remove their hands from my case, and I'm demanding justice. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and He separated light from darkness, and every darkness in my case, I command you to lose your grip and your hold. And everyone who is standing by this corruption, I'm decreeing it from above, they will be removed from seat. Everyone involved in bribery in my case and injustice will be removed. Now, I called and I had a meeting in July 25th reporting Myron J. Lewis, who came to cover up my brutal housing complaint by forgery, one, signing as a resident, using my personal information, identification, and address. He signed as a resident to collect a key that has been denied me for over a year without my authorization and permission. Now, as we speak, that key has been deactivated again because guess what? TWC Civil Rights Division is in support of all the fraud that has happened. The thing that was signed, because I heard again, I submitted a video to where they said they'd had a discussion. Myron Lewis Andy responded saying, I thought when I signed that thing that would be it. His response was, yes, it is. I still have to do the paperwork. Now, the paperwork he did was full of lies, removing vital facts and everything. It cannot stand in my case. I'm the daughter of the kingdom. So I'm addressing every spirit. I don't fight against flesh and blood. And I'm addressing that spirit to lose their grip. And I'm asking for a reinstation of my case. Now, at this point, I still don't have AC. You know why? Because again, they reversed it. What Myron Lewis came to do, because they closed the case, they reversed it. And it cannot happen in my case. Now, this case is between, let me call their names. It's Vineyards Apartments located in KD, managed by Night Vest Residential, using their name as their business as Massandra KV Vineyards LLC, and the owner is David Moore. And I will say, by the kingdom, by the resurrection of God, everything dead in my case will rise. Now, and I'm talking again to the head of the Department of Civil Rights Division. His name is Brian Daniel. And I'm talking to you with every respect. God gave you that position to make sure injustice is removed separated from justice. So I'm speaking to you and I'm telling you that you need, by the auction coming from above, I'm not speaking from this kingdom, to go into that case and make sure that every fraud and bribery that occurred in my case be removed. I am saying it by the auction. Now, nobody has told me what was signed before they closed my case because it wasn't investigated. Now, Snoddy Brian, Patrick Williams, Joe Russell, every one of them is involved. What was signed? I'm still waiting since July 25th. I submitted this evidence and I've still not heard what was signed. That was in agreement that he didn't have time in the last couple of days. He did not have time because they have signed it. So I want to know what was signed. And secondly, I've not released a video of them talking about a check. So you guys, God is already in this case. They were talking about a check. The respondent said they didn't want her to show up with the check to the bank. And that because of that, she was mistreated. She was supposed to call and verify a check. She had this discussion with Myron J. Lewis. So I'm still waiting to find out what was signed. And I'm demanding a reinstatement of my case, a reinstatement of my housing complaint, because God is already in my case. So please, I'm speaking again, by the authority invested upon me, justice and injustice do not collide. They don't mix. It can't mix in this one. It can't. So what was signed is what I'm asking. No one has, now first of all, this case, it was said in 2021. Usually, according to the law, it takes 20 days for a case to get a response. I did not get it for almost 2 years. That's another violation of the law, of the rules. The rule says any right that is granted that is used cannot be taken by intimidation or interference. When it's done that way, according to Texas Property Code 301-171, it becomes an offense. And in this case, the law granted me the right to live in these premises, and I have that right. And it was taken away by force and intimidation. That is already a violation of that rule. And Myron Lewis now came here to cover a crime with a crime, and he still has his position. No one can stand against God's child, because I am. It says it's better for you to have your milestone, right, to be hanged around your neck than for you to touch one of his own. This is man's kingdom, but there's a kingdom above. So I am demanding for a reinstatement of my housing complaint, and I am demanding to know what was signed fraudulently, why this case was not investigated, why it was covered, because a crime occurred. I still don't have AC in my apartment. Do you know what they did? They reversed it. After the quick fix, they reversed it. The KK has been turned off again, right? Because Myron Lewis came in here to agree on a bribe, forgery, and close up my case without any legal backing, and he still has his job there. He cannot be there. He can't.
Excuse me, ma'am.
He can't.
You've exceeded the time limit right now. Could you please wrap up your final, go ahead and wrap up your final comment right now?
Thank you, ma'am. And I really appreciate you, telling me nicely. And I will speak nicely that I am asking and I'm demanding for a registration of my case. It cannot be closed by bribery and forgery. And I'm asking to know what was signed between Myron Lewis, J. Lewis, and Stacy Gaza, the regional manager of Night Vest Residential. What was signed is what I want to know. And I am demanding it because it is written, heaven and earth will pass. His judgment will never pass away. It is written, if any right by the law is granted to you and you use it and somebody intimidates you, That is an offense according to Texas Rule Property Code 301171. A crime has occurred and it cannot be covered with a crime. I cannot be here by the law who granted me the right to stay here, and I still currently don't even have a seat. They turned it off and I still don't have the key that he took from them without my permission. I still don't have it. I'm just letting you guys know. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that my case will be handled properly.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
All right. Let's move to agenda item 9, board contract year 2024 childcare allocations and performance targets.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. For the record, Reagan Miller with the Child Care and Early Learning Division. This morning, we're bringing forward recommendations for board contract year 2024 child care allocations and performance targets. As we've been planning for services over the next biennium, both in our LAR and in the General Appropriations Act, we've been working with a planned assumption that we'd serve about 140,000 kids per day. The good news is that today we are making a recommendation to serve almost 145,000 kids per day. In order to serve this slightly higher number, we are actually requesting that the commission reduce the prior approved allocation. When we previously brought forward the BCY 24 allocations, we assumed that more money would be needed, and this is in large part due to the fact that we have not seen our Texas Rising Star numbers increase as quickly as we projected that they would. So our average cost isn't as high as we assumed it would be. As you're aware, we're currently in the process of implementing mandatory Texas Rising Star, and during BCY 24, we'll be working with over 4,000 providers who must attain at least a 2-star Texas Rising Star certification level. When these programs become certified, we will begin paying the enhanced reimbursement rate of at least 5%. And at that time, we are going to see our average cost increase. Our recommended reduction is almost $90 million of the prior approved allocation. And as we get more Texas Rising Star programs, we'll need to tap into these funds in the future as our average cost increases. But right now, based on the case mix that we have in place, we're requesting that the commission approve an adjusted child care allocation of $1,191,167,812 and a BCY 24 target of 144,807 average children per day. We'll also conduct a mid-year review of childcare, looking at updated case mix numbers as we did last year, and bring back any recommendations to you for needed adjustments in early calendar year 2023, likely in February. The details of these recommendations are outlined in the discussion paper, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
None here.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the board contract year 2024 child care allocations and performance targets as set forth in the discussion paper and presented today by staff.
I second the motion.
Been moved and seconded, vote unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there an executive director's report today?
Yes, sir. For the record, my name is Ed Serna, Executive Director of the Texas Workforce Commission.
Well, I noticed that Mr. Townsend, who's normally there, wasn't there, and that we had a substitute today. So
Yes, sir. I thought I would sit in for
Yeah,
Mr.
I
Townsend
was
today.
curious. Yes.
We have two things, actually. The first is we received a proclamation from Governor Abbott recognizing September 18th through the 25th as Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. The governor's proclamation declares the importance of literacy for the prosperity of the state's citizens, and we certainly support that through our AEL program. Also, we have an AEL conference going on in North Austin later this week, and we'll share that proclamation with the attendees. The second thing I want to mention is that September 26 marks the 50th anniversary of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. This is a landmark federal legislation that mandated equal education as a right for individuals with disabilities. It removed physical barriers to mandating accessibility and infrastructure. And it also set the standard for accessibility and technology, and it set the groundwork for the 1990s Americans with Disabilities Act. I would point individuals to our website, the Texas Hireability Campaign, to learn more about the value of these programs that we have that support individuals with disabilities and help get them into the workforce. And those are the only two comments that I have.
Any comments or questions for Mr. Cerna?
Yeah, three things, not exactly for Mr. Cerner, but this is also National Workforce Development Month. But I do even before I say that, the caller that called in, yeah, we're on top of that more than likely.
Yes, sir.
We're working on that. Okay. All right. National Workforce Development Month, and this is also Hispanic Heritage Month. It's kicking
Yes,
off
sir.
as well. And so I wanted to recognize those two as well.
Yes, sir. It
you.
started, yes, Hispanic Heritage Month started yesterday.
Yeah. Nothing else here?
No comments. Thank
All
you.
right. The time is now 10:54. The Texas Workforce Commission will go into executive session in room 242 pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 5510711 concerning pending litigation titled Oak Creek Country Club Incorporated versus Texas Workforce Commission and Chad Mullins. The executive session is now concluded. The time is 11:04. Is there any other order of business to come before the commission?
None for me.
None for me.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I second the motion.
Been moved, and seconded to adjourn, and we're adjourned.